All right. Welcome back to Design Drippage, crazy international edition,
I know. Last
because
time it was dark for me, and now it's dark for you. Well, outside it's
it is
dark.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
in Panama.
hmm
I'm literally, if you put a hole all the way through the earth, you probably come out in, well, Dominican Republic, because we're 13 hours away, but we're literally on opposite sides of the world.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that we can use technology to erase time and space to bring us together. It's kind of like how my heart is all the time, always with you, always thinking about you, always
Oh.
connected.
Yeah. FaceTime is awesome. It actually makes me think like, how did people do this? How did you do it back in the day? Like letters? And then what, you wait
Telephone
months?
books. You would have to like stand
But
by the phone with a really long cord
it
to
must be
try
so
to have private
expensive.
conversations in public spaces. Yeah, it was.
It costs like
You
hundreds
have a
to
wrong international call. It's like, yeah, your allowance for months.
crazy.
Cool.
Well, here we are.
Cool. And where are you?
I am in Beijing. I'm at my university and I'm in the same spot, but 90 degrees rotated because it's beautiful and sunny out. So I thought I could let the light in. Um,
Awesome.
but yeah, same spot.
All right, good. Well, I didn't bring jars because putting glass in a suitcase to Panama didn't feel like a wise thing.
Yeah.
But I have cards. I have not looked at any of these,
Okay.
but of course, we start with the design term. So, you ready for the
Yes.
first one?
Yes. I'm
Tell me
ready.
when to stop.
Stop.
Hey, your first term is
Gradient. I like this.
gradient.
I mean, I think
Yes.
the first place my mind goes is like literal gradient. So like when you're learning about color wheel, you're doing art classes, anything like this, it's like something going from light to dark, dark to light. Um, but I'm sure this is a term that I feel like could like apart from its literal sense, could definitely be extracted to a more like metaphorical sense, maybe. And I don't know if I'm
Ooh.
just like thinking too
Mm.
far because
How's your spiritual gradient
I know
going
exact or yeah, or
these
even
days?
like
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm struggling to think of an example right now, but I think, on a literal design, like graphics, physical design, obviously
Yes.
gradient is exactly that. But I think maybe on like a more human aspect, it could be, yeah, like a gauge of feelings or something like this. Um,
Cool.
that's my
So
second
a
guess.
gradient does come, as you said, from the world of visual or graphic design,
hmm
and it is a seamless transition from one color to another color.
Okay.
And gradients are used in all kinds of ways with visual design, often to provide depth, sometimes to provide a sense of, that something is a bit more lush. You can sometimes see multiple gradients with kind of two color transitions just to make things feel richer.
Okay.
They can definitely be overused
Yeah.
as well, but that's a gradient
Okay.
in visual design terms. I've never heard people talk about a gradient in psychological or emotional terms,
Okay.
but I kind of think that maybe we should start that because when you go through an experience, whether it's digital or physical or spatial, you're moving through parts of the experience and you would emotionally want that to be a seamless gradient.
Yeah,
If you
but
didn't,
it's
it would be like harsh kind
yeah.
of seams. So I like this idea of an emotional gradient,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to start using it.
Yeah. I guess yeah, emotional gradient would be more of like a theory and then in practice, it's probably not going to be as linear or seamless, but
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Simple.
easy. We start easy.
Yeah, I was like, this is good. Easing into the terms. All right.
Okay, here we go.
You choose one for yourself
I got thick
with two C's. With two C's.
with two C's. It is so thick that it requires two C's. It's not thick. It's thick. There's an
Yeah.
echo with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so thick. I don't know what thick means. I mean, thick in a very literal sense means that, something is a bit hefty. It's a bit girthy. It's a bit, it's
Yeah.
bigger. rather than smaller. And so my guess is that this is more of an emotional concept where
Mm.
that relates to your level of intelligence. Because people will
Okay.
say, like, you're being a bit thick,
Yeah,
and
actually,
like
this is
me,
true.
you're being a bit non-intelligent. And so if
Yeah.
you're really not getting it, like, why are you being so thick? That's my guess.
Okay. Well, so you are wrong, unfortunately. But yes,
No.
but
What?
you're right
Okay.
in terms like British people do say like thick, but it's not with two C's. It's CK. But yeah, that is like you're being a bit
I
dull, you're
see.
being a bit stupid, like
Oh, wait, I know what this means.
yeah. I thought
I
you
just
might.
remember what the T stands for in yacht.
Yes.
Girl, you're thick.
Thick. With two so the two
So it's
C's, so
big.
the two C's are it's like when you put two C's together, it's like a butt.
Oh, so thick specifically refers to the body part of
Of the
the
glute.
glutes
Yes. The gluteus
being
maximus
a bit
being
on the larger
larger
side.
side. Thick.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a positive thing. I mean, I guess it
Well,
depends
I mean,
on
this
preferences,
is
but
yeah, it depends on, this is a whole other thing,
it's a whole other
about society and standards and norms and all these things.
thing. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's what it refers to is thick. And yeah, I guess usually I think because society, beauty standards are that the bigger the better. That I guess it
Yeah.
is
Well, in
more
my
of a
day, it was
positive
Sir
thing. It's not,
Mix-a-Lot
yeah,
with Baby Got Back.
yeah.
So I think back is like
Well,
my generation's slang for your
British people,
generation's
British people
dick.
say back. British people say
Back.
back.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Um,
So how are we going to connect these two ideas of gradient and thick?
gosh, um, this might be the hardest one we've had yet.
Well, I mean, my personal feeling on this one is that all bodies are beautiful,
Yeah,
and thick kind of represents just like one place on the gradient,
yeah,
which we have to maybe celebrate because maybe for a long time thick wasn't considered as beautiful. But really, I think if we should apply gradient like thinking to thick so that even thin
yeah.
rears
I like
get
this.
attention and are
Yeah,
positive. Yeah.
yeah. I like that. I agree.
Great. So I'm going to term bump virtually.
Yes. Phew.
Okay.
Nice.
Tell me when to stop.
Okay. When or stop. All right. Wait time optimization.
Oh, yeah.
Wait time optimization. I mean, yeah, like I'm trying to like think of an example. Like obviously,
Mm.
I know what every word means, but I don't know in what context like this would be used. I don't know. Okay, my thought is that I think of wait time as a negative thing. I think of something like people don't want to wait. People are impatient, especially, in this century. But I think optimizing wait time could either be like making the most of someone's wait time, so like filling that time with something
Mm.
productive for like the customer, um, or client or whoever you're designing for, or I think it's instead of like making the most of the time, it's like maybe more so that they're like trying to minimize the time, but then I guess it would be called minimizing wait time. So yeah, I'm gonna go with my first gut answer, which is that like during that time that they have to wait for whatever, some turnover, that they're making the most of that time to help the person that they're designing for. Or
Yeah.
maybe even for
Great.
their own team. I don't know.
I mean, this has a couple of different meanings. So first of
Okay.
all, this recognizes that when you're designing, usually there's an experience that unfolds over time. Like
Yeah.
when we flew here to Panama, we booked the tickets and then we packed and
Yeah.
we went to the airport and there's a lot of waiting through the airport experience. And then there's flying, and then there's landing, and there's customs. There's all these things, right? And wait time optimization, the kind of default goal is that you're designing to remove as much wait time as possible.
Okay, so my second thought was right.
But there's
But
also the recognition that you can't always remove all wait time.
yeah, of course.
So when you do have to wait, how can you optimize those moments with subtle design cues? So, for example, in the world of software, if you're downloading something, don't just say downloading in text and like someday I'll let you. Show a progress indicator.
Yeah, a gradient.
And don't just show a spinning indeterminate progress indicator that you don't know what's happening. Show a determinate progress indicator that has a percentage or something, right?
Yeah.
So that it just helps you have the psychological safety and knowledge that, okay, something's happening and I kind of know when it's done.
Okay.
The classic example for out in the physical world is mirrors in or near an elevator.
Oh.
So one point in time, there were no mirrors by elevators. And when you're just waiting for an elevator, people don't know what to do. It's some interior designer, architect was like, well, I think we should optimize this wait moment, put a mirror there. And then all of a sudden now people are like, they have something to look at.
Fix my hair, put lipstick on. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing too is to recognize that particularly when you're designing in tech software corporate offices where you have high bandwidth and all of that stuff, you're designing for the world and not everybody's got the same access speeds digitally. There's probably a physical component or metaphor too. So for example, Facebook is famous for having something called 2G Tuesdays, where if you sign up, it will artificially down throttle your phone speed instead of like 4G, 5G LTE. It'll have you experience what it's like to be on the Facebook app at only 2G speeds, because that's actually how most of the world experiences it. So wait time optimization generally is this term of just designing for time and being thoughtful and being simple and, having a gradient so that it doesn't feel so crazy.
I know, we should have mixed gradient. Oh, I guess you can't mix two design terms, but
that would have been good. I know.
Because I kept thinking about that. Yeah. Anyways, that's cool. Yeah, it makes sense. And it's like a really, I don't know. I think it's such a like specific part of the design process that people wouldn't first think of, but actually probably ends up being really important. So
yeah, and this also speaks to the fact that some of the beauty and magic and subtlety of design is not in the
it's the in between
obvious moments and points and artifacts that you often design for. It's actually in the in-between spaces and it's in the approach, the anticipation, the afterglow, all of that.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Glitching.
Okay, well, glitching is like, there's not a good gradient. Something's going on and there's like a record skips or the CD catches or, you hiccup when you're talking or it's a glitch. I think how would Gen Z folks use that? Maybe this is a physical thing. Like when someone's trying to speak or when someone is like dancing and they're like, they're like glitching or they're like stumbling on their words. And somebody like, you glitching, yo.
Yeah, I hear this more online. Like I don't always hear people say it, like at least in my circle of friends. But it's exactly that. It's like I hear it in like comments and things where people are like they're glitching or like glitch, like kind of where like something goes off or something's like not a gradient, or like kind of seems unnatural. They're like,
but is this like an app or software glitching or this is a human being?
No,
glitching?
It's like human being.
Okay.
But yeah, what's the inside? Because I only know this one as comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think also, it says, so the card says glitching, but it can also just be glitch. Like because like if they are glitching or glitch. But yeah, it's usually used in
It's when
like,
someone's acting not super smooth, they're not communicating.
yeah, exactly.
It's a
And there's
glitch.
just, I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of exactly what it is, but yeah, it's more used on the human side, rather than like software or physical. Um, but I think it's kind of funny. I like it. And obviously people like, I think my thought, I don't actually know if this is right. I don't have facts to back this up, but I've always thought of it like derived from like glitch in the matrix where like something is like odd or like you freeze
Something's
and you're
off.
just like double take, you know? So sometimes I'll be like glitch in the matrix, but
Glitch in the matrix.
yeah,
Yeah.
glitch.
So this, I think, this is easier to connect these ideas, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think you can connect it in two ways. One, it can be like when you optimize wait time, there's less room for glitching. Or
Perfect.
it can be like when there is glitches, that's the time that you can use to,
The same.
fill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The inverse.
exactly.
Easy. Easy. When you design well for every moment,
Yeah,
you have no more glitching.
glitching. Yeah. Yeah, and then when you do glitch, it gives you an opportunity to optimize wait time. Okay. And now, that one. That's the one. That is the one. Experience strategy.
So today feels like it's going to be a very straightforward day.
I know. Um, I don't even know how I can like explain this without just sounding like I'm in kindergarten. But um, I want to try to think of like an example. I think, yeah, it's obviously all of the details and thought that goes into an experience, and I assume it's for the person you're designing for or people you're designing for.
Yeah.
And I guess the strategy comes in maybe more so if it's like not the first time you're designing for them or not the first kind of situation you're encountering. So there's a strategy there, and that only comes from experience. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I'm sure there's so many examples, but I can't make one up right now. So
That's
maybe
cool.
you tell me some.
Well, I mean, the way there's a lot of ways to define it,
Yeah.
really. I mean, first of all, experience is a pretty broad word,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people are using it in a lot of cases, but designers have really taken the idea of experience and really adopted it as part of their practice, that
Mm.
you're not just designing an artifact or a screen or a space, but those things that you're making are being used by a person who is experiencing it. So really what you're trying to do is design for that experience,
Okay.
first of all.
Cool.
But the problem with a lot of folks outside of design is they only think about design as the tactical, decorative,
Yeah.
tangible parts of design. Like, oh, those are the people that make stuff look good,
Yeah.
right? Or feel good, or, whatever. And often they forget that design is not just tactical, but it's also strategic as well. Just like technology is not just bits and bytes and code and LLMs and AI, technology is also a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I really think about strategy is it's your plan
Yeah.
to create the experience that you want.
Okay. Nice. That's well
That's
said.
as simple as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, my book, Uplifting Design, has 4 sections.
Yeah.
Starts with values, like what you care about.
Yeah.
And then it goes to vision, which is based on those values. What future do you get excited about? And then the third part is is about strategy. What is your plan to create that
Yeah.
future you're excited about? And then it ends with tactics, which are what are the tools and superpowers that you use to exercise your strategy?
Yeah.
So experience strategy is that plan. And particularly in the world of business, the word strategy is often connected to MBA type business leaders. And so designers and design leaders should create an experience strategy that amplifies the business strategy and goals.
Yeah.
So yes, it's focused on design, but it's also particularly focused on how does that design hook into the needs of the business and the goals of the
Mm-hmm.
business.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that. It's a more anthropology, psychological side. That is what I love. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
Also, promo.
And
Check out
it's a
design,
kindergarten
uplifting design.
definition. I don't know, you like that?
Yeah,
You like how I had that little gradient?
I
No
did.
glitch.
Yeah.
Little like, check out the book. Be the eighth person to buy it.
Lucky number 10.
Okay.
Lucky number 10.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the one.
Eat.
Eat. I mean, this is what you do with your mouth when you have nourishment to keep your body moving, right?
This
You
is
eat,
correct. Yeah.
you masticate and swallow. But Gen Z slang, it doesn't just mean consuming food. I think I kind of remember that this is like wiping out. Like you eat it.
Oh,
Like if you're snowboarding and you like tumble, that's eating it. You just ate. Is that right?
uh, is that your final guess?
I mean, I must not be right because
Okay. I
you're leading
mean,
the witness, but
I know I am. This is true. That would make sense. And I agree, like eat it. Yeah, like you eat shit, like you wipe out.
yeah.
But no, this is actually a positive thing. This refers to
Okay.
people say like eat is like if it's happening right now, but usually people say ate, like that person ate. And it basically
Okay.
sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. It's a funny term to me. But it basically means that like they crushed it, they killed it, they did a great job, and I think it's derived from like when you eat and you leave no crumbs. Like it was so good that it's done.
Oh,
So people
is this like a 2-for-1 where no crumbs is
yes.
also a saying?
So well, usually you
Okay.
use it all together. So you'd be like, so say like for example, like you see like a model doing like a model walk or something, you're like, wow, like she ate and she left no crumbs.
And
Um,
she left. 8, no crumbs.
yeah,
That's super cool. So I guess the metaphor there is like when you eat, you are satisfied
yeah,
and you're nourished and you're complete. And so
yeah,
that's the feeling you get after you do a task well.
yeah.
Okay, so how do we connect experience strategy with eat?
Ooh, I guess you need an experience strategy in order to eat.
Totally. I mean,
You know?
so often design teams are asked just to do widget after widget or button after button or screen after screen without an overarching plan about why you're doing it or where it's going,
Yeah,
which results in experiences that are kind of
they don't eat.
thin from a food perspective.
They
They
leave
don't eat.
crumbs.
They're not set. There's crumbs
They're
everywhere.
messy. Yeah.
Crumbs all over the fingers and table. Like, man,
Lab.
you need to get a Dyson.
Yeah.
Experience strategy helps people eat when it
Yes.
comes to design.
Yes. Cheers.
Okay.
All right. And stop. That one. That's the one. Cross-channel consistency.
Cross channel consistency.
That is a lot of alliteration.
Yeah.
Cross-channel consistency. Okay. I think that it's about consistency. So it's about like making things like not making things like not overcomplicating things. And almost like gradient, like making it smooth, right? Cross
It is.
channel.
Consistency for sure is
Yeah,
about making it smooth. Yeah.
exactly. Well, I'm basically just defining consistency. But anyways, cross channel is what throws me off because it obviously means two things are intersecting, and usually that means that
Well, what does channel mean? What do you think channel means?
well, a channel is like, I guess in the design term, I would assume that it's an avenue of ideas, and it's like
Uh,
either an avenue of ideas or like
yeah.
a way of, getting something across, a way of like carrying
So channel
out.
has a specific meaning in the world.
Okay, so I don't.
Channel, I can imagine channel. There's a lot of channels of thought or
Yeah.
channels of action or channel. No, so what a channel is in the world of business it is a place that brings in revenue. So if you're
Okay.
Walmart, one place that brings in revenue are your retail physical stores. People walk in,
Yeah,
they go, they
of
get
course.
stuff, and they drive away. Another channel that you can track your P&L, your profit and loss, your business,
Mm-hmm.
is through the website.
Mm.
People being on their laptop. And then kind of another but related but separate channel is like mobile
Yeah.
based shopping and things, right? So each of those are channels, and a lot of businesses connect with people in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
And usually those different channels have different business leaders,
Mm.
and sometimes they have different design teams. And an organization really shows its seams, all the separation between organizational units when they don't connect, when they're not consistent.
Yeah.
So cross-channel consistency is really
Those check-ins.
having that gradient
Yeah.
across every touch point. And actually, I would say this is a bit old school thinking.
Yeah.
I think there's a better movement now to think about cross-channel superpowers, where how they complement each other. Like at Walmart, our highest rated experience from a design perspective is when people were on their phone, they ordered some groceries for pickup, and then they drove to the local Walmart later that afternoon once they got an alert that things are ready.
Yeah.
As they go into the parking lot, the location system is turned on their app. So, the store gets alerted, the groceries are ready. And if you got a couple kids buckled in the car, you don't have to go out into the store and
Yeah.
pop your kids in a cart. They'll bring the grocery into your trunk.
Yeah.
So that's a cross-channel experience
I
that
see.
is better
Yeah.
when it's brought together. So
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, channel is source of revenue. That makes more sense. I
Yeah.
think that was the word that was throwing me off the most.
yeah, it's a business term. Yeah. Cool.
That's cool. I mean, this obviously applies to design, but I'm sure like all like companies
Totally.
use this,
This term is not just used in design. It's
Yeah.
used in tech. It's used in
Yeah.
operations. It's used in customer service, business, all those. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, yeah, anything, because nowadays everything has multiple platforms. Like every company has
Yeah.
so many ways of, anyways, cool.
Wearables,
It's cool.
AI, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Even like schools.
Okay. Gen Z term.
Living rent free. Oh, that's my handwriting.
Yeah. You wrote this one.
We have lots of
Living
different
rent free.
handwritings.
Oh, I've heard this.
Okay.
So I'm cheating a little bit here.
That's okay.
This does not mean that you are physically inhabiting an apartment or home and not paying your monthly rent to your landlord. That's not what that means.
Yeah.
This is a metaphor, which means that something is occupying space, but it's not paying you, like it's not benefiting you. And I think this is about ideas.
Mm.
Like, let's say there's a really catchy song and you can't get it out of your head. It's living rent free in your brain.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like it can't get out.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think it's often referred to. Have you heard of like brain rot?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you're online. So it's kind of
What does that mean though?
brain rot are just like it's like reels, clips, videos, very like
It's like happens when you doom scroll.
exactly things like this where it's like it's just content, very short like
Yeah.
gratification content that does nothing, that like rots your brain basically, where it's like
It ends up living rent free as a collection.
yeah.
Of, like,
So rent free, I think,
Yeah.
is usually a negative. Like you said, it doesn't serve you. And so oftentimes it can be, in terms of like a crush or someone where like, it's not going to go anywhere, but they're like living in your head rent free and you can't stop thinking about them. Or it could be, yeah, like you said, like a song or some like brain rot content that's like in your mind and you're just like, it's living rent free. Like, oh my God. But yeah, I like this. I remember when
Well-
this term came out, I thought it was really clever. I was like, my
It's a cool
generation is
metaphor.
smart, right? I like it. And an artist I like has a song.
Can
called-
it apply to relationships like exes and things that, live rent free kind of still in your life?
Yeah,
you
I
thinking,
mean, definitely.
anything?
It can apply to literally anything. And I think obviously the thing, like when it comes to emotions, especially to do
Mm.
with exes and like things that can be really heavy. It's easier for them to, I guess, live in your head rent free because they're so emotionally,
They're ingrained.
yeah,
Yeah.
ingrained and strong.
Just
Whereas,
basically
like,
anything that's a part of your thinking and emotions that maybe you don't want there, but is
yeah,
occupying
yeah,
space.
and you like can't turn it off.
Cool. So this is super hard.
I know. Well, I guess,
Hmm.
I mean, okay, I think when I think of channel in terms of like living rent free, I think of it as instead of it being revenue, it's like what is benefiting you, right?
Right.
And I think the consistency, like the cross then is like just different types of thoughts and different inputs of
Mm.
thoughts. And then I guess
The
consistency
consistency of
is
that.
like
Yeah.
you want it to be consistent. You want to be having, thoughts and all these things and inputs that are serving you. But when you're not,
I
then
like that.
they're living rent free.
That's great. The more that we are consistent with our values, our emotions,
Yeah. And what we put
our
our time
presence,
into. Yeah, exactly.
then the more that we can have all of those glitches
Yeah.
that are living rent free,
Free.
just drop them.
Yes.
Yeah. Amen.
Nice. I like that one. That one was cool. That was a term that I never would have guessed. And so I really like that. That was a
Yeah.
good challenge.
Cool.
Okay. We have what?
Down to the
3?
last 3.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to catch a tiger by the toe.
Oh, haptic feedback.
Okay,
Oh,
cool. We have one that is not super obvious and easy. This one,
no. I mean,
yeah,
I know
good.
haptics like on my phone because I always am messing with my audio so I can enjoy my music.
Well, define haptic.
Ooh, I'm not technical. No, I do not work in IT.
Mm.
I do not know.
But you said your phone
Okay.
has haptics. What does that
Yeah.
mean?
Okay. Well, okay, let me think of it. In my phone setting, the haptics are all the like buzzes and like pings and notifications and ringtones and things.
Yeah.
So I assume it's like a sound that basically connects to a notification or like some sort of like the sound means something else is my guess of what a haptic is.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, you're super close. You're
Okay.
super close.
I
Like
know
it has to do with
yeah.
one of the other 5 senses primarily.
Okay, sound, it's not taste.
Not your sense of sound.
So it's touch.
Okay.
So it's like buzzing.
Haptic design is all around the physical
Is it
sensations.
okay? Oh yeah, that
And
makes
with a lot of electronics, it's mostly about vibrational
yeah,
buzzing.
yeah.
Now that said, acoustics play a role. Like we
Yeah.
were doing a hackathon at Gallaudet University when I was at Google, and at Gallaudet, students are deaf, and we're doing a hackathon, and we would always play music, Emancipator, during our hackathons. And so we're like, oh, we're not going to play music here. They're like, no, turn it up and turn up the bass
Yeah, the
so that
vibrations.
there's still a vibrational energy.
That's awesome.
But so sound absolutely has a bit of a haptic influence, but really haptic designers like Andrew Vinny, man. Andrew from,
Of course.
Google, when he's doing wearable design, he's really paying attention to haptics. And Apple right now is the best in the game
Yeah.
where they have, it used to be like there was one little like servo in your phone that one buzz for frickin' everything, like a call or a notification or your alarm. But that's really evolved over the last decade or so, where there's a lot more nuanced vibrations that can come out where it's almost like a game controller. You remember it was called like Rumble
Yeah.
feedback when you
Yeah.
played games, when
Yeah.
the controller, you'd be in a car and you'd drive over rocks and
And
be
it
like,
would, yeah, of course. It's like the
so your
5D
phone now has
experience.
subtlety.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing Duolingo and I finish a lesson and little stars are individually flying out and each one of them hits like progress bar, you feel the ding, 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 ding. And you can even like feel directionally like what part of the phone is vibrating. So haptic feedback has become really, really sophisticated. And I think, the future, who knows what the future holds? Like, physical sensations could be digitally, I don't know, stimulated and created in interesting ways. So it's a cool
It's so
field, very
interesting.
cool
So
field.
the reason I know haptics is because I turn them off on my phone. My phone doesn't buzz.
You don't like it.
I
I only use haptic feedback because I don't want to hear the ringer.
Yeah, I just don't use anything. So I like when people call
You're in
me,
control,
like yeah, and I like which I know I'm also like I'm
which is
I'm
good.
I'm this new. I think in my generation there's like a lot of us because we all grew up with technology, of course. So um we're very aware of the effects that technology has and
Yeah,
but
yeah,
also how addictive it can be and like feeling that
totally.
buzz, getting the ding is like instant dopamine. And you're just like, oh,
Yes.
notification. What is that? So,
Dopamine loop that we did in,
yes.
what is that, episode 1 or 2? Like
Yeah.
this,
Hmm.
all of these things, buzzes, alerts,
Yeah.
etc.
But
Sometimes you
I
just got to
think
shut it off.
thinking about it from the physical design side, like what Andrew Vinny does, I think that's actually really interesting. Like it makes me want to like turn it back on because I'm like, you know what? Like it is so cool to think about to think into detail about something like this so much where it's like two buzzes means one thing, three buzz. Oh, you can make your own buzz. Like all these things
Yeah.
are like really cool details that I think actually, um, you know, eh, something that I didn't think about on the design side. I only thought about it on like the customer side and being like, shut it off. But that's actually, this is interesting. Thank you.
It's cool. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any,
Eeny, meeny. I'm stopping at meeny.
okay. No chill.
No chill. I feel like I know a lot of these today. So no chill. I mean, chill is a concept of temperature
This is true.
where something is on the colder side. So really this would literally mean hot. But that it doesn't mean hot because to be chill means it's a good thing, right? You want to be chill, meaning in moments of stress or excitement, like you're easygoing. And if you're not chill, that means you have something called no chill, which means there's so many double negatives here. So no chill is a bad thing, and it means that you're just overreacting.
That's it. It's
Yeah.
basically like you can't control your temper. And yeah, because chill, for me, chill is like about your temper and like about your demeanor and how carry yourself. So someone who is chill is like, doesn't get all riled up, they're not like out of like not like disconnected from the conversation, but they're just like so relaxed. And like when you're around them, you're more relaxed too. And yeah, having no chill is like when someone just is like acting like out of order and just like bad temper, and you're just like,
Without naming names, like what is an experience you've had lately where someone had no chill?
okay, this is a good one. So this is a story from a friend, but I'm gonna tell it how she told me, like in her perspective. Um, and she is in Chinese class here, and one of her professors was talking about, some of the like content that they should study in the textbook in order to do well on the test. And she was like going through it super fast, whatever. And she was like, excuse me, teacher, like, can you put it like in the group chat or like in the WeChat because like you're going so fast, everyone's on a different page, no one knows what's going on. And the teacher was like, no. And she was like, why not? And the teacher just like wasn't giving her an explanation, right? And just being like, no. And like no one was backing her up. Like it was just hectic. Anyways, for the rest of the lesson, this professor, anytime there was like a grammar structure or example in class, the professor would say like for example, one of the grammar structures was like, no matter blah blah blah, this person always blah blah blah. And so it was like, no matter how much, let's call her Susan, no matter how much Susan listens, she never understands. And like, just like all these like digging comments where
So
obviously
they both kind of had no chill.
they both,
The student
well,
had no chill because she was pushing too hard, and the teacher
yeah,
had no chill because she wouldn't let it drop.
yeah. I think this was more on the
More teacher.
teacher
Yeah.
side because a student should be able to ask questions. But
No
yeah,
names to be named.
no names.
Either way, but okay, that's a good no chilling.
Right? Yeah, I was like, dang, they have no chill. Like they just cannot like do breath, you know? Yeah. Okay, how do
Okay.
we um ooh,
I mean,
this can go positive
the
or
obvious
negative.
one.
Yeah, go on.
I mean, no chill is a bit negative, isn't it? So I mean, to me, I'm feeling like if you don't design haptics well, your phone's got no chill.
Yeah. Okay, say so you just spun it from the positive side. I was
Bro,
thinking
yeah,
it
no
from
chill.
like, wow, these haptics are going crazy, chill. Like, I don't need all
Yeah,
this
yeah,
buzzing going on. Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
exactly.
Cool.
Correct. Cool.
Nice. Dang.
Okay.
Okay. Last two. The one in your right hand. Your right. Yeah, that one.
This is my right. It might be mirrored.
Yeah. Legible. That's so funny because I couldn't read it.
That's good. You can read it. Yeah.
Legible. I mean, yeah, this is just whether or not something is readable for the
Yeah.
for anyone.
Yeah.
And so obviously a lot of things go into that. I think probably font, typeface, all these things. What's the one where it's like the spacing between the letters?
Kerning
Kerning. That one
or
too.
tracking.
Tracking.
Yeah.
Yeah, all this
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
goes into that.
Leading, all those typographic things. Yeah. Legibility is really important. And it's really changed with different channels, right?
Yeah.
When you were printing books and the printing press with
course.
the technology, you needed serifs for legibility, et
Yeah.
cetera. Now, as we have screens, I mean, back in the day, it was 640 by 480. It's the number of pixels, horizontal and
Yeah.
vertical, and things look really grainy. And so things generally had to be a bit bigger, and it was tough. We now have what Apple has termed retina displays, right? The physical
Mm.
screens that can show a number of pixels that you can't even discern with the retina, the individual pixels anymore, unless
Yeah.
you get under like a microscope.
Yeah.
So in this world, we're really free to create with typography all kinds of experiences. But I do think like legibility, it's not just as simple, can you read it? I
Yeah.
think it's also, does your interface adapt to different types of people who have different legibility needs? I mean, the classic one is as you get older,
Yeah.
eyesight is
Yeah.
different and people have to get bifocals, whatever. So
Of course.
could you and I use the same app with our bank USAA where it's super legible for you, and for me, maybe it's a different size because I need it a bit bigger. Maybe the interface knows because I'm, furrowing my brow, or I don't know, like that's a bit creepy, but yeah,
that's
legibility.
true.
I'm excited about adaptive legibility.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my follow-up question that you answered before which is great.
Oh.
But obviously legibility, I think in the most simple definition is like when you think of someone who has all the senses and can read and has eyesight or at least glasses that allow them to see. But yeah, I was curious because if it's a design term, that means that it has to be adaptable to lots of different types of people. So cool.
Yeah. And there's two other kind of related concepts
Yeah.
here that just to mention,
Yeah.
understandability and readability.
Yeah.
Like we at Lloyd's had a very clear process, the content team, around readability. So it's legible, like you can see the words and the letters,
Yeah.
but is it speaking in
Yeah.
a language that's understandable? And so often there's a grade average. It's a different newspapers, a different kind of calibers, higher or lower targets for the reading level. So how much the sophistication of vocabulary,
Of
et
course.
cetera.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then the other one is, your content, mostly words in a lot of digital experiences, but not always. So metaphorically, I think legibility kind of also applies to other elements like images and things. But how easy is it to be understood? So a lot of bankers speak in a way that ordinary people wouldn't talk.
Hmm.
They talk about, APR and annual yields. And, when people just really want to know, like, okay, if I don't pay off my credit card in this amount of time, I'm just going to have to pay a whole lot more later,
Yeah,
instead of having to learn the definition of an annual percent rate, you
of
know?
course. Yeah.
So I think legibility, there's almost like mental legibility. Yeah, my eyes can see it, but can my brain understand it?
Mhm.
And, does my heart connect with it? So I think I like the broader ideas of legibility beyond just the technical definition, because that's where a lot of cool things come out.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm going to take the same right hand.
Okay. Gagging for.
Gagging for. Gagging for. Well, gagging is where you're risking your life by shutting off the airways to your esophagus.
This is true.
Um, I think this is actually a positive meaning, maybe. I think gagging means you want something. Like you want something so much that you're like every time I pass a Krispy Kreme mousse, I'm like I'm gagging for some of those donuts. That's what I think it means.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah,
So
you want
great.
something
I
so
feel
much
so
that
Gen Z
I
today.
know you're doing good. And also, that was a great example. Like, and I can. It's great because I can relate, and I know so many of my friends and people that love Krispy Kreme so much. So, yeah, gagging for it is like, I mean, so it's definitely. I wouldn't say it's positive because it's like it's too far. Like
Compulsive.
yeah,
Mm,
and usually,
mm.
and I've heard it been used in like yeah, mainly like a negative context, like they have no chill, they're gagging for it, like
You got no chill.
yeah.
You're gagging. You're glitching
Yeah.
because you want to eat.
These Krispy
So
Kreme. Exactly. But yeah, I
I'm going to
think
connect these concepts.
um
Sorry, I interrupted. You were saying
well, no,
gagging.
actually I don't. That's really it. It's just that it can be seen I think more as negative because it's like it's too much. It's not in
Yeah.
moderation. That's what it is. Um I guess I mean my first my first thought is like if something is legible then it's like you're more drawn to it and you can understand and you're like gagging for it because
Hmm.
you're just like it's so good. Um
The thing I was thinking about was when you're gagging for something, it's like you've got no chill. It's
yeah.
like obvious. And that makes your impulses super legible to people around you.
Yes, this is true
Oh
too.
my
It's
God,
more
it's just a
metaphorical.
neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, don't bring the beeves into
That was
this.
I
That
mean,
felt personal.
he just stopped on the side of the road the other week and helped a stranded musician whose car broke down. You should TikTok it. It was really sweet. And then he prayed with him or something. To help. Yeah. Anyway,
Oh. Well, maybe
um,
fatherhood is, changing him a bit. But
yeah,
I did KTV the other night and I was the only one that could like do
I'm
all the Justin
sure.
Bieber raps and all the songs and everything.
I'm sure the Beeps was in full force
Oh yeah.
in that karaoke. Cool.
Anyways, swiftly moving on. Thing. Yeah, those ones are kind of hard to connect, but the idea is there. Okay, last one.
Cool. What's the last one?
Let's see. Competitive? Competitive?
Mhm.
Oh, God. Ben
Benchmarking. My
benchmark.
handwriting is not very legible.
I like your handwriting. I
Competitive
like that.
benchmarking.
Competitive benchmarking. Oh God. I have no idea. Benchmarking. I mean, a benchmark to me is like you're flagging a certain part of something that you're doing. So like for example, like in reading and stuff, I think of it as like like you're gonna come back to it. Like this is like you've gone up until here, like first benchmark, and then things like that. Competitive makes me think that it has to do with you're going against. I don't know if it's like going against previous benchmarks, like that's where the competitive aspect comes in, or
Mm.
if it's competitive in terms of like other companies, other people, other, like if it's like completely outside of, like I don't know if it's meta or like like I don't know what
Yeah.
degree, but um yeah, I assume
You, yeah.
I think that's it actually. I don't really know what else to say.
You got it. I mean, you
Okay.
got it. Yeah. You have such an awesome mind that I love how you go into all the possible
I
avenues
know.
of what
I
things could
basically
be.
just guessed like everything that
But,
it could.
and in guessing, I know exactly what you think it means.
Okay.
Yeah. So competitive benchmark, it's super simple. It's basically assessing where your competition is.
Okay. So it's
And a
usually
benchmark
outside focus.
is a level of quality.
Yeah.
I don't know where that term comes from. Like to me, this is like an old school trades and guilds
Mm.
notion of if you're a goldsmith, like there's a benchmark for levels of purity or for,
Okay.
I don't know,
Yeah,
like,
I don't either.
so a benchmark is like a standard, a
Okay.
level of quality. And so doing a competitive benchmark really means you're comparing, how your product, service, or experience stacks up to others.
Okay. I see.
So, what is it like to book a flight on American Airlines versus, British Airways,
Of course, yeah.
right? That's a competitive benchmark. You can say, well, it was super easy to search, but it was really hard to book because they didn't take this payment mechanism. But
Okay.
this one was,
Right.
so you kind of end up, competitive benchmarks are usually, columns are like moments of the experience.
Yeah.
And then rows are how well someone did. So
Okay.
you kind of see,
So
well, here's where we're better, but here's where we're not.
is it usually like more analyzed based on like from company to or designer to designer, or is it like a person that like the user that like
It's a
undergoes
really good
this,
question. It's
like
usually an analyst or a strategist or a designer
yeah,
that is going out and making assessments
and trying from
and
okay,
creating a
so it's both,
document
yeah,
and then reporting back. Now, there's actually a big problem with competitive benchmarking in that companies that don't have a lot of soul,
yeah,
that they don't have a clear understanding of who they're designing for and what those people need,
yeah,
which is actually what a design team does, right?
yeah,
Designers, as we talked about in the beginning, is about serving people
yeah,
and making their lives better. And so that's what you should be focused on. It's not the competition, but like the people who love and use and need your service.
yeah,
Because often when you don't have a vision, the only thing you look to is your competitors. Like if I have a little cafe, I'm not really thinking about like what I'm passionate about and what people in the neighborhood need. I just like, well, let me go to other cafes and see what they're doing. Oh, I'll do that too. The problem that you can get is what's called taillight chasing, where you're always looking at the car that's ahead.
yeah,
And if they turn left or turn right, you'll do the same. So you end up not having your own
mhm,
focus. And if they go off a cliff, you're going to go off a cliff too.
yeah,
So competitive benchmarking for me is useful, but in my experience, companies over rely on it
yes,
when really they should be human benchmarking.
yeah,
So your
yeah,
question there kind of raised in my mind the thought that we shouldn't be focused on competition as much as people's experience.
yeah. I mean, it makes me think of like, yeah, because I feel like it can, like you said, like overdoing it can definitely create such a unhealthy and toxic environment. And even like, I don't know if this is in the same category, but for some reason it's coming to mind. But like when I am in the UK and I go to like Lidl or something, and it'll be like, it'll have like a sign that says like Aldi price match, and it'll be like a check. And I'm just like, you're just like comparing yourself to like another, like you're trying to
Yeah.
like, anyways. And I don't know why, but it always makes me like frown a bit. And I'm always just like, why are you
Well,
doing
this happens all the time with, friend groups, particularly in the Gen Z and Gen Alpha zone, where you start to worry about what other people think about you,
that? Yeah.
benchmarking your outfits and your language and your music. And
Or
it's like,
like,
you
yeah,
know,
even like
like Gavin
phone
DeGraw says, it's just like,
advertisements.
I just got to be me.
Yeah, exactly. But even like phone advertisements, they'll like compare some like Samsung to like some other like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's like I think it's okay when you're you can acknowledge maybe another company's work and then want to learn from it. But I think when you're
Yeah.
using that as a way to put them down and then be like, look, I'm better, that's, I think, where it's dangerous.
Yeah. To me, competitive benchmarking is just an input.
Okay.
And then the most important thing is, what's your vision?
Yeah.
What's
How are you gonna
what are your
make it your
values?
own?
What's your strategy? Oh, this is information. Maybe I should adapt a little bit.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure Amazon takes a lot of inspiration from Walmart when it comes
Yeah.
to physical retailing,
Yeah.
because Walmart's amazing in that space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Walmart takes a lot of inspiration from Amazon in digital retailing.
Yeah,
'cause
of
they have a lot of experience there. And so there's, clearly there's a dynamic, but ultimately you got to just do your own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. The last one,
Is
Gen Z.
sly.
Sly. I mean, I know this one too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mean, sly like a fox, like kind of clever, or, I mean, to me, this is a bit negative. It doesn't just mean you're intelligent. It means you're maybe a little bit underhanded and you're concealing your motives, and I don't quite trust you.
Yeah. It's like sneaky, like
Sneaky.
things.
Sus.
Yeah, exactly.
Which stands for
Suspicious.
suspect.
But yeah, I will
Yeah?
say like it definitely like sus, like they can just be like acting whack, like sus, like no chill, all these things. But sly, definitely there's more intelligence
Oh.
involved. I think you're right with like,
Sus, obviously bad. Sly, I don't know. I feel it's off, but
yeah. I think it's more thought into like someone being sly than someone being like sus or having no chill.
Uh,
But yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Sly and Oh, I mean, a sly person is the kind of person that, negatively sort of impacts the, competitive benchmarking. And, they're trying to be sneaky, they're trying to be clever and all this stuff.
Because if you think about the motivations about why people are sly,
Yeah.
a lot of times it actually comes from them not really feeling good about themselves,
Yeah, totally.
or focusing too much on those around them.
Yeah.
Like people who aren't sly are people who are just like not distracted by competitive benchmarking around them. They're just, they've got a goal and a purpose, and they live by that. And
Yeah.
they're transparent about it.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's
how I want to live my life.
We started easy and now we're ending where they just like that. So that's nice.
That's good.
Cheers.
That's true. Amazing.
That was good.
Well, so great to connect with you always.
Yeah.
And I don't know where in the world I will be or you will be for the next episode of Design Drippage, but we're just going to have to see where our travels take us.
Yeah, hopefully not 13 hours. Also, I don't know if the camera can catch your trousers, but it looks like you are the chair. You match perfectly.
Oh, I am kind of, I'll show you my thick.
Okay, maybe not for the camera. There you go. You can cut it into here.
Same.
Same.
Well, it's okay. I'm not very thick, but we are appreciating all shapes and sizes. Watch that be the most watched snippet of our
I know
of our social media
why
channel.
Are they talking about booties?
Thick CC. Well, I gotta have this booty take a booty rest.
Yes.
Because it is now 2 a.m.
Yes.
But so good to see you.
So nice to see you.
And see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time. And all the content next.